Hey, hello, welcome. How's it going, chat? Thank you so much for being here. We sure as heck appreciate you this morning. Joe and I have cooked up what we think is a pretty interesting show. I mean, I think Scott would have to be proud of our alliteration, even Joe.
Yeah. We try our best to be like Scott, but unfortunately, I am too good at the pronunciation of Slavic city names for that to
Mm,
happen.
yes. We definitely do. We take cues from our fearless leader, even when he's not here. So, Scott, we see you there in the chat, and we hope you're having a good morning. Chad, it's good to see you this morning. I been enjoying watching you banter back and forth while we've been getting ready. As you can see, we're going to be talking about the peaceful priorities of the international community and the protest problems here domestically that we're seeing. So should be nice. Um, Joe, how's this morning going for you?
It's not bad. It's better than yesterday. I woke up yesterday morning, and we've had like 50-degree weather for like a week and a half. I woke up yesterday morning to a complete and absolute whiteout.
Oof.
But fortunately, the snow didn't stick, and it's a little bit warmer this morning, and there's no snow, so that's good since we got to make a drive today. So it's not a bad day to wake up in Montana.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, a
Uh,
bunch of folks have told me they're going to be out here for the classes in May. I'll remind everyone I have classes here though in March and April, so check the calendar. Come on out.
All right. Well, you heard him, folks. You're still not too late to sign up for those classes. And tell you what, I might be there in April. We'll see. But if you're there in May, I am for sure. I have been committed, much in the padded cell, rubber room kind of way. I have been committed to Camp Ponderosa in May. There's a small angry man of many eggs traveling through my community on his way up there, and he has told me that under no uncertain terms that I will be going with him. So
If you
I
come,
think
bring
you
eggs. So I'm just saying.
both of us will.
That's your price of admission. I think 6 eggs will cover the $500 course fee, and you'll be all set. No, I'm just
Oh
kidding.
yeah, well, I just to say by then the egg depreciation will have got me. Just as my eggs are coming online, Joe, everybody's getting ready to pay less for them.
I
Disgusting.
know, I know.
Well, what can I say? Well, that's what happens when you stop killing chickens at the cyclic rate on government orders. I do want to say we are back on Twitter today, so I would thank all of you that are out there. If you're watching the show, go and retweet us. Spread the show, spread the joy, spread the warmth. What can I say? That's right. If you haven't already, you can see either of those training schedules over at tacticalism.com/training courses or brushbeater.org/training calendar. Daisy Girl Williams, friggin' on it. Appreciate
Yeah.
you. All right, chat. Well, I'm not gonna lie. There's not too much more to beat around the bush this morning. Everything's going well and dandy, except for my back injury. If you hear me screaming, that's why. I'm going to try really hard not to make any lateral movements during the show. We should be just hunky dory. And with that, Joe, I think it's time to just dive into those odds and ends. What do you think?
It's a great idea.
Oh, Joe, I'm an idiot. I now see what you were trying to tell me.
What's
Hmm.
that? Yes. I
Yeah.
did try to
Okay.
tell you.
All right. Yeah, you did. I was busy doing other things. All right, chat. I screwed up,
Wait, hold
and
on
we have the
real quick
same
before you
story.
do that. I want to mention something I just did. I
Go ahead.
dropped in both chats a link to the Northwest Montana Veterans Food Pantry, the organization that hosts our classes out here and that does a lot of great stuff in serving the veterans of Northwest Montana. If you want to make a donation there, please do share it around, get folks to donate. Just make sure where it's got like a little note section or a comment, make sure you put Camp Ponderosa on there so they know it came from our people. So
Well, Joe, I appreciate both that interjection, and people should go and donate. I've highlighted the link there, but also I appreciate it because it allowed me to find an emergency first odds and ends topic.
Yes.
You're gonna hate it.
Okay.
Breaking: pro-US/Trump political party wins Greenland's election last night. The people of Greenland want to end European colonial rule and build a future with America.
So there's a couple things here. First of all, this is one of those ridiculous distractions from things, but unless it's a referendum by the entire population on whether or not to leave Denmark and join the U.S., it's really just a vote of their parliament.
Pretty much, yep.
And that's down the road. And I would challenge this, that when we do a vote like that for a country to join us or a state to join us, we normally require a 2/3 or 3/4 majority vote, not a simple majority. The reason for that is that if you get a 52-48 vote to join, you have 48% of people who would be willing to join an insurgency against you.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that as we go down the road, we're looking for a 2/3 or 3/4 majority vote to leave. However, saying you want to get rid of European colonial rule and then get under American colonial rule, that's still European colonial rule. I'm just throwing that out there because the vast majority of the folks in America are of European descent. So that's all. But it is good news. It is good news.
It is good news. It at least means they like us, right? If nothing else, it's a popularity contest, and we're pulling ahead, boys. It's not hard when your enemy, when the people you're competing against are the Danes. But
you know what's funny is somebody said yesterday that after the Massey incident, you would see some ancillary thing move forward to take everyone's attention away from the Massey blow up. And then here we have the Greenland vote. So,
yeah, you know what? Maybe that's where we should go for just a minute there, because I think we're both on the same page there, and I just, because we both made very similar posts about this yesterday. Mine a little less direct than yours, but
yeah, I'm known for directness.
Guys, listen. My point in the whole matter is, if you're disappointed in Trump and his actions, it's because you don't have a good enough mental model of what Trump and his group are doing. And you should probably spend some time and work on that. This was very predictable, particularly if you look at the individuals involved and where they live and what kind of political payouts they're looking for. Just saying. Certain wannabe Lance criminal may or may not live in Massey's district and wants to run for his position. And Trump is looking to reward those who've been loyal to him, right? But at the expense of someone who's way more loyal to his own vision than even he is.
Yeah, and I think that it's okay for us to every once in a while call out Daddy Trump's missteps. And there are people who get vehemently angry when you do so. And I got called everything from un-American to a leftist yesterday for not agreeing with every word that comes out of his mouth. Hey, guys, it's okay to disagree. You can still like 85% of what the guy does and dislike 15. It's okay.
Well, hey, Chad, I just want to make sure that everybody knows. Good morning to all of you. And if I don't get the chance to say it, it's because we're deep in another conversation. But yes, good morning. Good to see you there, Conahy, 91. Always good to see you, fellow Marine.
Kaneohe. You know,
Kaneohe.
like U.S. Marine Corps base Kaneohe.
Oh, okay. It's early and I haven't had my caffeine yet. Yep. Yeah, you're right.
Hey, we've had a mispronunciation already. It's like Scott's here.
Hey, the spirit of Scott lives. All right, folks. On to our next one. This one's I'm gonna spoil it. We'll read this the dramatic way, and then we'll go into possible less dramatic explanations. Shred and burn all documents. USAID staff ordered to destroy evidence on Tuesday. This was a senior USAID official who's the acting head. If I'm not mistaken, this was an Obama appointee. Yeah, basically told, hey, you all have safes in which you manage all of your secure information. This is anything that's got people's social security numbers or anything that's got secure information or anything like that. You're now being ordered to shred it, and then specifically the language said, use the shredders as much as possible, and then reserve the burn bags for when the shredders are either too busy or offline. Now, Joe, this certainly does look like certain operations we've seen around various different, we'll say, official and unofficial embassies worldwide. When people get caught with their pants down, what do you think about this?
Well, this could go either way. I'm not of the belief they're actually destroying evidence. I believe that just like anything else, when we're shutting something down, if there are classifieds remaining, we destroy them. I
Yeah.
honestly believe they're just being shut down and they know it. So they're being told to get rid of the classified documents that they still possess. The bigger question is, why does USAID, nominally a organization that simply exists to help people in parts of the world, why do they have so much classified material? That's the bigger question, because they shouldn't need it
well,
for their role,
well,
right?
it's almost as if they're being used as a front group for various different payouts in the intelligence agency to run all their black operations, and that
What?
USAID
Say it
is
isn't
essentially
so.
the black
Say
book
it
for
isn't so.
everything. But uh, clearinghouse might be
But the
another.
thing is, they can destroy whatever they want. There would be some records already of those documents, so it's not
Yeah.
really going to matter. There's
No.
two $5 from Pinochet over on Rumble.
Oh shoot. Oh yeah. Let me go check. Over on Rumble Rants, we have $5 from Peter Shea. Gentlemen, this is serious. I have been told in no uncertain terms that if the militant left keeps this up, the folks in the black SUVs who follow me everywhere will have no choice but to divert to them. Gang stalking, always the funniest of stalkings. Pinochet's helicopter tours for an additional $5. Thomas Massey should be the constitutional pebble in the shoe, reminding the executive to stay in the confines of the Constitution. Trump is in the wrong on Massey. Should he be helping, or he should be helping him? Now, look, I agree with you that he should be helping him, but at the same time, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't care about these little fights. Massey is a big boy. Massey has fended off challengers that tried to be more MAGA than him on two separate occasions now, and done so handily with barely any inconvenience. I don't think Massey's voters are at any risk of leaving him. I think it's stupid for Trump to attack allies like this, but at the same time, everybody involves big boys. I don't really care. Joe?
No, I agree, but I think it was a misstep on Donald Trump's part to come after him. He should have just let it go and moved on with his life. But Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, he cannot. But
Yeah.
we don't want to get rid of anyone who there is video of firing a machine gun from a pintle mount in the back of a pickup truck. Those are my people, and I want them in charge.
Facts. We want people who have knowledge of pintle mounts to thrive in the world that is to come. That's I'm with you on that one. All right. So last note on this, Joe's got a point here, guys. Literally anytime you're handling any kind of secure documentation. In fact, let's remind people what some of the secure documentation can include. If it has any U.S. citizen's social security number, it goes in there. Various other bits of information, automatically tag it to go in one of these secure information bin safes. Yeah, as somebody here in the chat notes, 4 knots to nowhere says when he left the Navy, they spent about 4 hours shredding all of his documents.
Yeah, and let me address Pinochet's other tweet. How do you know they're tampering with any evidence? Shredding documents is a perfectly normal thing that happens in the United States government every single day.
Yeah.
Just because it's U.S. aid shredding documents doesn't make it evil. It could very well be 100% the right thing to do.
Now, listen, it could very well be evil, but I'll tell you the litmus test for it, and that is that we have an administration that is very, very engaged on social media. In fact, I think it would be safe to say that they probably acquire more of their news sources from various different social media sources than they do from the traditional briefing rooms. They saw those articles the same time they came out as everyone else. If there were nefarious actions taking place, you would have seen big news about strong arms coming in there to stop destruction of evidence, which would have been a crime. No such thing happened. No statements were made. No tweets were made. I think this is all happening in accordance with closing the doors down at USAID.
Yeah, it's just a routine. Hey, we're closing it down. Time to get rid of all the classifieds.
Yeah, I shredded documents. Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. I newsflash for you, boys and girls. They sell document shredders at Walmart for a reason.
Listen, I shredded documents literally yesterday right here. I mean,
I was going to say that reason is a surprising number of documents in everyday life need to be shredded. So, I don't know, guys. I think that there are an awful lot. This is the other litmus test for it, I think, too, right? Is that regular news agencies were reporting on this, not the type of news agencies that have been reporting the truth despite adversarial actions against them. Regular news agencies were reporting on this, which says to me, Politico is probably not going to be the ones running to our rescue if a government agency is actually destroying documents in the way that we're thinking. Right? Just saying.
Right.
You think about all the players involved. So
hold on, put that back up on there for a second. I want to point out the morons who run Politico. Put that back up there. So it says shredding to destroy documents, many of which contain sensitive information. Of course, that's why they're called classified documents, dummy. Anyway, they're morons.
Many
literally.
such cases. Many such cases. As a person who used to be in a newsroom with people like this, I could tell you, Joe, many such cases.
Having a hard time hearing, just so you know, whatever's going on with the mic.
All right, a little better?
That's a little better. Yeah.
All right. So, moving on to our final odds and ends for the day, folks. Cargo ship captain arrested in North Sea collision with U.S. flag tanker is a Russian national, owner says.
What? Say it isn't so.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
So he's arrested for gross negligent homicide or manslaughter, which tells us somebody died. And him being Russian, it's one of two things. It was either an intentional ramming or he was drunk. And either one is possible. But I will point out that in the modern day and age, as automated as a ship's bridge is, there's radar, there's AIS, there's assisted steering. It's really, really hard to hit another ship amidships hard enough to cause it to catch fire.
I should add a parked ship as well. The ship that got hit was at anchor, just chilling out.
Yeah. So it's entirely possible this was an intentional act. It was a DoD leased ship that was full of jet fuel that was going to refuel a carrier's bunkers. So anyway, very interesting.
Remember, before we move on, AP5, folks, not apple juice. Can't put it in your gas tank. It was both drunk and intentional. Pitching the wild card there, Bob Johnson. Yeah, we've got some interesting pictures of this here. It's what a coincidence. It's almost as if the rules of what do we call them? The laws of the sea, as they have been laid out by international law, leave a lot of gray area that can be exploited by potential bad actors. So I don't know that we'll ever get good answers for a lot of this stuff. Do you, Joe? I mean, at this point, it's essentially like you'd have to drag a confession out of a captain who all he has to do to not get punished as a terrorist and just get punished as negligence, which is going to be far less, is keep his fucking mouth shut.
Well, that's true, but I think that he's arrested by the Brits, so I think that the rules are a little bit different when you arrest Russians and you're the Brits. So we will see. The interesting point is that the crew is half Russian and half Filipino. Not that unusual in international shipping to have your crew be half Filipino, but the fact that the captain and half the crew are Russian is interesting. So
yeah, I'd
we
say
shall
it's the
see.
other
And
half
I'm going
of
to
the
disagree
crew
with you, Steve. Drunk, seaborne, and intentional is indeed the way to go through life. So.
Correct. Yeah, I was going to say. Well, never mind. I was going to make a sovereign citizen joke there about the seaborne thing, but we'll move on. I'm not conducting commerce. Sorry. Got another picture of this. Just wanted to do this before we move on because I thought this was a. Whew.
What it looks like is the that container ship got a bunch of the fuel on it, and it was burning on top of the containers. And for those who are worried about the cyanide being carried by that cargo ship, those were empty containers. There was not any.
Well, I just wanted to say that, as the great Phil Swift once said, that's a lot of damage. So, all right, folks. Well, that's it for odds and ends for today. Joe, what's new over at tacticalism.com?
Well, I'll be putting out a new article tonight about some of the silliness that's gone on in the last 24 hours and how it relates to training. There were a lot of discussions about what people should and shouldn't buy and all that stuff. And the truth of the matter is, you should buy what works for you, and get into that rather than worrying about what some cool guy on the internet tells you. Buy what works for you and use what works for you, as long as you get out and try it and make sure it actually is going to work for you. What else we have up there is our course schedule. We have this weekend here at Ponderosa, we have community security. And then next month here we have Fieldcraft. I also have a couple of one-day combatives classes thrown in there if anyone wants to come out and learn a little bit about defending yourself. I believe what I have is ground fighting and basic unarmed self-defense coming up the first weekend in April. So we have all kinds of fun stuff out there. Yeah, unarmed combatives and ground defense followed by a day of stick and knife. So I did them that way so that folks could take one, two, or one or the other or both. And then at the end of the month, we're going to be doing Fieldcraft back here. But the big weekend is the 16th to the 25th. NC Scout will be here. We're going to do radio telephone operator course, followed by signals intelligence, and then a 2-night night fighting course, and my 3-day community security ops course. Right in the middle of that, though, on the 22nd, interesting thing. Juan Gringo, our friend from Texas Border Rescue, who was on the show a few Fridays ago, is going to do a 1-day discussion about what operations they ran on their ranch along the Texas border during the border crisis the last 4 years, how they made it work and what it did for them. So that's not going to cost anything. If you're coming out for the week for the other classes or you just want to stop by, that's free. Come check it out.
I'm telling
Come
you
and
right
hang out.
now.
So great week to be here, May 16th to the 25th.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, having met that individual, that that's not a it's not something you want to miss. If you have the ability to make it to that, you're
yeah, great guy to talk to, and he's got a lot of great details and stories. So,
well, all right, Joe, are we ready to move on into our main topic, or are we ready to finally talk peace after so many years of war?
Sure. Let's
do
it.
It appears we're not the only ones, because Ukraine has now agreed to enter into truce negotiations with Moscow, and I'm gonna read a little bit of this because it is kind of important. So coming out of the Jeddah talks, the Ukrainian delegation, which lasted over 8 hours, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has issued a statement hailing that Kiev has agreed to enter negotiations with Russia to end the war. Today we've made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable. The 30-day ceasefire aspect, which was announced earlier, appears designed to jumpstart direct talks with the intent that the guns would go silent to allow for talks to begin in earnest. It appears akin to a freeze of the front lines of the conflict, something which Putin is likely to reject, seeing as in a possible ploy for Ukraine to rearm and regroup.
And ironically, that's an exact statement that Sergei Lavrov made yesterday. Lavrov said that it's a shame that France and Germany would use that time to rearm Ukraine and push more weapons in there to the front. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I know that after this happened, we've had a massive Ukrainian strike on Moscow and an oil refinery outside of it, and Russia continues to pound the Odessa and Kherson area. So.
Well, and I've heard a lot of people ask a lot of questions about what this means as far as various different statements we've made about needing Ukraine to come to the table goes, and like, hey, if it's Russia holding up the peace talks, what does that mean as far as us giving them aid? And I'm just gonna, we have a little quote here from Rubio. I'm just gonna let him speak for himself.
We're going to take the offer to them. We're going to tell them this is what's on the table. Ukraine is ready to stop shooting and start talking. And now it'll be up to them to say yes or no. I hope they're going to say yes. And if they do, then I think we made great progress. If they say no, then we'll unfortunately know what the impediment is to peace here. The best goodwill gesture the Russians can provide is to say yes to the offer that the Ukrainians have made to stop the shooting, to stop the fighting, and get to the table. If they do that, that's the best goodwill sign we could see. Obviously, as part of that negotiation, as we're talking about how to end this conflict, there will be a lot of issues to unravel. Among them, not the least of which is the humanitarian concerns, the children, the prisoners of war, all the things that sadly come with these conflicts. But the number one goodwill gesture we could see from the Russians is to see the Ukrainian offer and reciprocate it with a yes.
What do you think about that, Joe?
I think that right now Russia holds all the cards, and I don't know why they would agree right now. They're making gains everywhere. They just crushed the Kursk objective, or Kursk salient, and they're driving and pushing on towards a potential landing at Odessa. They're prepping that battle space pretty well, and they're creeping forward on all fronts. There's no reason for Russia to stop. Unless, of course, we sweeten the deal with something under the table that no one's ever going to know about.
Well, good facts. Let's move into the next story. It's basically just a repetition of the same with just a little bit digging down further into the details. So we're set to present a 30-day ceasefire to Russia. Zelensky's on board with it. I don't see this working out. I don't. The Kremlin has not publicly responded. It said earlier on Tuesday it would issue a statement after being briefed by Washington on the outcome of the talks. But influential Russian lawmaker Konstantin Kozachev said that any potential agreement would be on our terms, not American. Kozachev, chairman of the Federation Council's International Affairs Committee, said real agreements are still being written at the front. What that says to me is that Odessa is still on the menu.
Yeah, they're saying that killing people is working better than any paperwork. That's what they mean by real agreements are being made at the front, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Like I said, they hold all the cards right now. Why would they do it?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you why, Joe. Because Denmark has expressed a readiness to send peacekeepers to Ukraine. That's why, right? I mean, who doesn't want the Danes on their border?
So this is what's funny. It used to be that nobody wanted Danes on their borders. It was a bad thing. But there are a whopping total of 21,000 total active duty personnel in Denmark, which means there's probably about 5,000 fighting men. And that's what we call tactically a speed bump. That's not really enough to do much of anything in face of a Russian army group. But God bless them for saying they're ready to do it. They're ready. They're just not capable.
Sven's dead. Smart. The Danish
Well done,
government and
Sven's dead.
Parliament have reached a consensus on the possible deployment of troops to Ukraine to support a future peace agreement. I just have to say, hold on here, that they've agreed that they will possibly send troops to Ukraine, which is a lot like you and your friends saying, yeah, bro, we'll totally kick their ass. Yeah, bro, for sure.
Right. I don't think Russia's going, no, not the Danes.
Danish Foreign Minister Lars, nope, not trying that middle name, Rasmussen, and Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen, in comments to journalists cited by Danish public broadcaster DR, is reported by European Pravda. Rasmussen and Poulsen met with members of the Parliamentary Foreign Committee on March 10th to clarify the government's position on deploying troops to Ukraine. It is important that we in Europe send the right signals to both Putin and Washington. This is what we are doing today to say if it comes to a ceasefire or peace agreement requiring a European presence, Denmark is in principle, ready to take place, ready to take part.
In principle,
I'm sorry, you're not though.
Life.
You're not though. Yeah, I was gonna say, look, this is all well and good to talk about, but literally, like, the message you're trying to send to Washington is severely undercut by your inability to carry out the thing you are saying you want to do.
Well, let's look at it from absolute total numbers. So we got 21,000 active, 51,000 reserves. It's about 72,000. That's maybe one full division of actual fighting troops. It's literally nothing. And why? Because they've had a call option on the United States military for a very long time, and they haven't needed it. Denmark's not a big place, but you would think they would have more troops in general. But
hold on, we just got to
keep in mind those numbers: 72,000, both active and reserve, covers both their ground forces and their navy and their air forces. That's not much at all.
We did get a bit of inside scoop here from a local who says that Lars Rasmussen is known to be a Yeltsin level drunk.
Oh wow,
that's
just like Yeltsin, huh? All right,
that's bad.
All right.
Pinochet's helicopter
21,000 troops is not enough to hold Greenland. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, not even a little bit. Which is why this conversation is happening around Greenland. To be honest.
No, I don't think we were ever going to fight with Denmark. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But what I mean is that part of why the conversation is happening isn't necessarily that we can take Denmark. It's that if somebody else wanted to take Denmark, that we'll just say, not a friend of ours, Denmark wouldn't be able to stop them.
Yeah. Speaking of, did you see the absolute panic mongering in the Canadian media yesterday about an American invasion?
I've been seeing it for weeks. It's been glorious. But go ahead. What do they say now?
The talk about defending Denmark could be a ploy for America to station troops to invade Canada. Bro, no one's invading Canada. You get invaded every day by little old ladies who want to go shopping, and that's about it. We're not invading Canada.
I was gonna say, it's unlikely, but in the odd event that it did happen, I've seen multiple different projections that like the National Guard of various different small states is enough to actually take care of the job. So I think I was seeing somebody say that Montana has a National Guard large enough to match the forces of Canada. It's not a pretty picture. Well, folks, as some of you have seen and already alluded to in the chat, we've tossed out the peace agreement, but Putin says niet. He says that we're not going to do any of this temporary ceasefire, temporary truce stuff. We can talk perfectly fine as it is. It's not as if we're on the front lines with the bullets flying. So we're just going to talk peace now. We're not going to do a temporary peace. We'll do a peace when everything is resolved.
Yeah.
Moscow could care less, and in fact, will only view the agreement negatively. So, as they've already said, as Joe alluded to, they're essentially saying, why would they agree to a ceasefire when they know that the unwilling people that we're dragging to the peace table on our side of the fence are just going to use the opportunity to shove as much weaponry into Ukraine as they possibly can.
Yeah, and as odd as it is to hear me say these words, I agree with Michael Tracy right there in the story. I'll put that back up there for a second.
I will. I'm scrunching it a little bit so we can see it.
It's
Without
still
having
not a
to
tank, but
right.
can anyone explain what motivation Russia would have to accept a 30-day ceasefire at this stage? Yeah, a 30-day ceasefire only stops Russia from the good they're doing or the progress they're making.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, they're making a direct drive. They're making big gains. They're making the type of gains that change the type of concessions they might have to make in the long run. So there's no point for them in stopping now.
But once again, folks, you all were told you were going to get a halt to aid to Ukraine, and what you got was a short pause. It's back on. So,
anyway. Facts. You but don't worry, you got an apology from Volodymyr Zelensky, and wasn't that worth it in the end?
It's totally worth
it. All right, folks. We got one last thing on this, and that's that just to make sure to punctuate that whole no. Putin launches drone strikes on Kiev hours after Trump challenges him to ceasefire.
I could not hear you again.
Oh, yeah. Putin launched a massive wave of drone attacks on Kiev. Literally, I think like an hour and a half after Trump challenged him to man up and accept the ceasefire.
Yeah, I mean, but let's here's what's funny. It says Putin launched drone strikes at Kiev, blah blah blah. In between those two things, Kiev launched a massive drone strike on Moscow. Funny how the media seems to leave that little detail out. The launch on Kiev was a retaliation for a strike by Kiev on Moscow. They hit a large oil refining plant just south of Moscow proper, and a few drones fell within Moscow. And it was Ukraine's biggest attack on Moscow yet. So everyone wants to point the finger at Putin while neglecting to remember that Ukraine struck right in the middle of all of this at Putin. So
fair.
I'm not taking Putin's side. I'm just trying to point out the actual facts of the matter, which matter.
Yeah, and honestly, we shouldn't be taking anybody's side if we're hoping to act as a neutral arbiter and bring peace to the situation. You don't want to be too heavily on either person's side.
No.
All right, everybody. We are making too good a time, I would say. So just prepare yourselves here, folks. We're getting through the morning brief a little fast, which means you guys might have a little extra time for breakfast. What do you say? We'll cut you loose back to your units, and you can head off to the chow hall. We just got to get through this last briefing. Guys, our final topic is about the return of peaceful protests to the United States. Did we miss our peaceful protests? I know I missed our peaceful protests. I know that I made a small internet career based around the last time we had, quote, peaceful protests, and making sure people understood exactly how peaceful they were. But police across the United States are investigating a series of attacks on Tesla showrooms, charging stations, and vehicles as vitriol escalates against CEO Elon Musk. There has been peaceful protests, says CNN. I'm sorry,
Peaceful
folks, but this,
protest, that peaceful but
yeah,
mostly fiery, right?
yeah, let me borrow some language from the left. I'm triggered. I am triggered by this phrasing, and I will not allow it to stand. And I don't think any of you should either.
Yeah, it's silly how they keep putting us this way, that it's all peaceful, yet we've got broken windows, we've got burned out vehicles, we've got burned down charging stations, all kinds of stuff.
Now, I will say that one of my favorite things that I've seen so far, Joe, it's as enjoyable as it is watching these guys get wrangled up. One of my favorite has been on Reddit. There's a post going around that is from the mother of one of these, shall we say, miscreants, who got arrested vandalizing a car and is now losing scholarships and potentially being expelled from university and looking at a jail sentence and wondering what they can do to help their poor child. Oh, it's wonderful.
Here's the thing, though: most of those kids are upper middle class kids or upper class kids in their $500 sweaters and $800 jackets out here protesting because it's cool and fun, talking about what's been done to the environment, into their iPhone with the lithium battery that involves strip mining. Right? It's nonsense.
Oh no, and look, if you claim to be an environmentalist and you even think about lighting an electrical vehicle on fire, that's you can no longer call yourself an environmentalist. I'm sorry. That
Correct.
is like a single one of those burning is worse for the environment than literally whole cities worth of people. Who has time to do this? Well, that's an excellent question there, Alyssa Marie. There have been a lot of talks, a lot of different people, undercover journalists, have come up on these protests and heard many of these protesters admitting that they are being paid to be there. I can try and dig that up. It wasn't necessarily a topic I was going to cover, so I didn't have it prepped. But yes, like I've seen multiple different undercover videos where like the undercover guy's talking to him and he's like, "Oh man, I wish you could be here the whole time. How is it that you can hang out here the whole time?" And the guy's like, "Oh bro, I get paid to be here." Uh, the question is, where does that money come from now that USAID shut down is another question entirely. But I suspect that some of these NGOs just still had a little bankroll sitting around.
I think the best tweet of the day yesterday was Elon Musk's back at the dude. What he said? What's your favorite island vacation spot?
Yeah. Oh God, that was a good one.
I was
Yes.
like, Elon Musk is straight murdering people on Twitter, and it's okay. It was
Well, let's
very
be
good.
clear about who that is too. So that was the head of LinkedIn who he said that to. Somebody who is confirmed to have been in the documents and has absolutely he's confirmed to have been in the flight logs. He spent multiple nights overnight at a certain island getaway that Elon was referring to there. Yeah, I've also seen some interesting reports, Joe. This is not something that I have links for, but it's just something that I'm curious about. This reeks to me of elite on elite warfare.
Which is usually a precursor to civil conflict. But I also want to point something out, is that Elon Musk has obviously seen some more evidence on Epstein Island, but we haven't.
Yeah.
So
why is that? One wonders.
Right.
There is a part of me that says, hey, if you're a politician, then if you have powder, keep it dry for a good opportunity, right? But at the same time, they did sort of already promise they would just release it day one. So, but yeah, Teslas around the country are facing vandalism. which is interesting. And I guess we should mention that to counteract some of this, Trump decided to buy a new Tesla and to display it on the lawn of the White House. Although I don't look, it's a good gesture, but honestly, as far as this, I think it makes it worse, right? Like as far as
Yeah, it's only going to make the situation worse. This is yet again another optics thing he's trying to do that's going to backfire. Best thing he could do is to try and prove that Elon Musk doesn't have an undue influence on the government is to not buy one and put it on the White House lawn. That's just silly.
Yeah, and look, man, I hate to be this guy because I'll be honest. There is a part of me that's like, oh, they have so many cool features. I'd love to have one, but listen, I'm the guy who drives a 30-year-old car because I don't trust the electronics that have been in this stuff since like the mid 2000s. I don't get a Tesla, please, for the love of God, don't get a Tesla.
Well, it would be a really, really funny and cool gesture for private citizen Trump to do down at Mar-a-Lago, but not for President Trump to do on the White House lawn.
Correct. Yeah. Remember, guys, we don't need to give them any ammunition for their fucking crackpot conspiracy theories. As funny as it is to lean into them and make them scream and blow their own heads off with rage, we don't need to fuel any of this at the moment. Stop giving them ammo.
Yeah.
Let's see. I will say that if you look at where these Tesla attacks are happening, it's all in. I mean, it's essentially give yourself a map of where the worst of the 2020 rioting happened, and it's the same map.
It is.
Oh, let's see. What do we got here? Oh, another one. This one I think has some videos though. So apparently the preferred method of attack that they've been using on these dealerships has been the preferred cheap weapon of shithead anarchists everywhere.
So I wanted to include this article because it shows a contrast between CBS's reporting and CNN's. CNN reported mostly peaceful. CBS went, no, these people are blowing stuff up.
Yeah. Look, even if they weren't blowing stuff up, even the guys that I've heard doing stuff like spray foaming, I've heard that guys are going up to the Tesla charging stations and they're spray foaming the charging station so that you can't insert it into the plug, so you can't charge your vehicles. Even that, I'm sorry, like it's not violent, but it is absolutely destructive, right? Let's see. Oh, you know what? You know what I wonder? Somebody asked earlier, hold on. Somebody asked a question that said, who has the kind of time to come sit around and do this? And I just realized something. We may have made a funny tactical misstep here, Joe.
I'm sorry?
Well, you see, we're firing all these government employees. And when they're doing
now suddenly
that,
they have some time.
Yeah, they're giving them a severance too. So they're paying them for like a year and a half.
I noticed that there's a lot of handmade signs here, but there is one sign obviously supplied by someone else, that Ukraine sign. So
yeah,
that was not exactly organic. Someone didn't make that in their garage.
Oh, I'm sure these two are super organic too, to be honest. Same text, same font, same sizing, same layout. For sure. Yeah, definitely. Not made in a warehouse. I don't know what else to say about this, guys.
Well, it's got a list of events. We want to go through a couple of them.
Sure. So the first happened in January 29th through February 11th. Police in northern Colorado arrest Lucy Grace Nelson, who was that first, I believe, transgender wacko individual.
Yeah, the one where they said woman arrested, and we're all like, no, that's a man.
They caused between $5,000 and $20,000 in damage to a Tesla dealership. That's not true. They caused at least $20,000 on the very first day. The very first day they brought a gun to the lot and fired shots through the windows. all those windows have to be replaced. That is over $20,000 in damage on day one. That doesn't include when they came back and threw Molotov cocktails and burned down multiple different cars. It's a hell of a lot more than $20,000 in damage. According to police, Nelson vandalized the Tesla dealership by spray painting Nazi under the dealership's entrance. Oh, yeah, that person. In Maryland, the graffiti was found at a Tesla dealership a day after demonstrators gathered to protest Musk on March 3rd. The graffiti said "No Musk" with a sign that resembled a swastika. March 4th, police in Massachusetts reported 7 Tesla charging stations that were intentionally set on fire. March 6th, a 39-year-old man was accused of vandalizing several Tesla vehicles with stickers of Musk in a Boston suburb of Brooklyn, calling it free speech. Harrison Grant Randall was charged with 6 counts of defacing property. A pretrial hearing for Randall is scheduled Monday. Yeah, this is that crazy with the fucking adult trike with the Hamas flag off the back of it that was captured in a bunch of different videos being confronted by the vehicle's owners. Police in Portland, Oregon said that at least 7 shots were fired at a Tesla dealership on Thursday, damaging 3 cars and shattering windows. At the same Tesla dealership, allegedly vandalized by Nelson, Northern Colorado police reported an arson at the Loveland Tesla dealership. Over 350 protesters gathered on March 8th at the New York Tesla showroom in Manhattan as part of a nationwide Tesla takedown protest. 6 arrests were made, 5 for disobeying or disorderly conduct, and 1 for resisting arrest, obstructing government administration, and violation of local law. I'm going to circumvent this. Why are people actually protesting Tesla? Because the TV told them to.
Yes, because they were paid to and they were told to, and they believe what the TV tells them.
What has Musk said about the incident? There's so much violence being created against people like Tesla supporters, Tesla owners, and Tesla stores. These are innocent people. They really are. Also, I don't know what to tell people, but Americans have never been very good about threats. I might be nuts here, but I do foresee a future in which this propels Tesla to be the #1 car in America because people say, no, fuck you. I could be crazy, but that is a little bit the way I feel. I think it would be a lot more likely if it were a gas hybrid or something. But I think that there are a lot of us that are unwilling to make the electric vehicle jump, though.
I think that this is just a symptom of where people's minds are right now on the left. If they're willing to attack a dealership and burn down his cars, it's not very far from burning down cars with people in them. It's not a big step if they're already throwing a Molotov cocktail at a building to throw it at an occupied building. So I think it's just more indicator of where we're heading.
Facts. And I have another indicator where we're heading, but unfortunately I didn't realize that it was access restricted. So give me just a second. I'm going to get a archived version of it. But yeah, we're going to move over now to a different kind of protest. The one happening around...
While that's happening, Pinochet's helicopter tours for $2. We now have labor to pick our food. The fired feds should not fret. This work will give them pride. Yes, it's a great idea. Fred Earl Agent can now go and pick crops.
It's good work. It's good for you. Good for the soul. But yeah, New Yorkers protest as White House defends arrest of Columbia activist. No, I'm not gonna give him Columbia activist. I would say Columbia terror support network leader.
The protest was directly in support of Hamas, so you could kind of call us providing material support. He also, this protest, everyone acts like they were just giving a speech. They literally occupied some buildings and made demands to give them back. Those are crimes. That's not peaceful protest. That's not lawful protest.
I was gonna say. So, it's okay to take over federal buildings now. Let me tell my boy Lavoy Finicum about that.
Yeah, right. Oh, you can't. He's dead.
Weird.
Anyway, carry on.
So yeah, hundreds of demonstrators make their way through Lower Manhattan on Tuesday to protest the detention and expulsion of a green card holder. Let me remind people, if you have a green card, you are a permanent resident. You are not a citizen. You have a review that happens, I believe, is it once a decade, Joe? And if you're seen to have been partaking in any criminal activity, you go.
Yeah.
So this is literally nothing special about this. This should be standard procedure. It is well documented that the protests that he organized not only conducted illegal activity, but specifically were organized to conduct illegal activities. There's not really any debate here. I guess the old joke from Parks and Rec applies: straight to jail right away, no trial, just go.
So I want to point out something here. They act like he was still a student. At 30, he was beyond being a student, right? He came
He
back for
graduated.
the protest. And
Yeah.
they say, well, he's a legal permanent resident, so therefore he's a citizen. That is not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. If you are a naturalized citizen, you have the same rights. A lawful permanent resident has a lot of rules they have to follow in order to remain in LPR. And this man's activity violated that. Therefore, he can go. His permanent resident status, it can be revoked, and it has been done many, many times before. His is because he caused issues. He came over here as a guest and started berating the U.S. I'm sorry, that's on you.
Yeah, let's be very
if you
clear.
want to live here, act like it.
Yeah, let's be very clear about something. People who hold green cards, as we've said, are not citizens. They're guests in our country. And it would be similar to you going to Japan or China or any number of other countries and trying to influence local politics there. You're not welcome. They would not accept that. They would not allow you to do that. They would absolutely get you out of their country.
And ironically, Khalil has also worked for the United Nations refugee, whatever, UNRWA
Yeah.
in Palestine, which is literally a support network for Hamas.
Correct.
So I see no reason for this guy to remain. And now the protesters are saying, oh, but his wife is pregnant. Okay, that has nothing to do with him and his legal activity.
Personally, I'm with Mr. Homan on this. No need to separate a family.
Well, he separated his family. No one else.
Yeah,
she's a citizen, so you can't send her. But
it's rare for the government to deport a permanent resident. Maybe it shouldn't be.
I actually disagree. I would like them to post some actual numbers because I don't think that's actually true.
Yeah, I very much doubt that's true. Like, I've known green card holders who got deported for DUIs.
Yeah,
of course, this was.
And I've dealt with quite a few of them in the Metro Detroit area, and yeah, they get deported on the regular.
Of course, this was back in the early 2000s, back in the years of sanity before everything fucking fell apart. So I don't know.
Yeah, back before the current situation, right?
Maybe they're just talking about the last 10 years, and that wouldn't surprise me to learn that in the last 10 years they've stopped deporting green card holders for anything but the most severe of infractions. Green card is a privilege, not a right. Correct. 100%. Look, I'm going to go a step further. I think that if you are in support of terrorist organizations, you shouldn't get the benefit of any U.S. You shouldn't get to come to our schools. You shouldn't get to enter our country. You shouldn't get a tourist visa. You shouldn't get anything. Like, period. He did. He led a protest literally last week inside a library. where they shut
I think
students
too
out
that
from being able to attend their own classes. It's
people will say, "Oh, free speech," but I'm going to say this: that if your free speech involves providing support literally for a terrorist organization, that's not free speech anymore, right? You're advocating for the murder of others. It's just like advocating for the overthrow of the U.S. government. There is a line that you can cross, but giving your full-on support for an organization that kidnaps and rapes children and elderly women, that's on you, and that shouldn't actually be protected behavior.
agreed. Agreed. Last story, folks, and it's on the same thing. So 13 of those protesters have been arrested.
I know. We'll show them. To show that the man was a peaceful protester, we're going to go out here and be unpeaceful.
Come out and riot. Yeah. So police arrest more than a dozen demonstrators amid more protests Tuesday, calling for the release of Mohammed Khalil after he was detained by federal agents over the weekend. A few hundred protesters gathered near NYU on Tuesday afternoon, marching through lower Manhattan from Washington Square before ending outside of City Hall. Whoa, gonna pause here. We've got $10 from Phil Coggins. He says 13-19 9/11 hijackers were student visa overstays. Yeah, that's correct. 13 out of 19. Yeah, no, the student visa overstay is, I believe, one of the most prolific and classic illegal immigration moves in America. Either the student visa overstay or the tourist visa overstay. So anyhow, police say 13 people were taken into custody when demonstrators clashed with police as they spilled onto Broadway and blocked traffic. There it is. A protest was also held at Columbia's campus denouncing ICE's detention of Khalil, the pro-Palestinian activist who helped organize rallies at Columbia University last year when he was a student, had a green card, and is a legal U.S. permanent resident. However, federal officials say he expressed support for the terrorist group Hamas during the protest and is now scheduled to be deported. I'm sorry. Open and shut case for me. Khalil was arrested Saturday by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents. Homeland Security officials and President Donald Trump have indicated that the arrest was directly tied to his role in the protests last spring at Columbia University. Well, no shit. I don't know what to tell you. Look, first of all, at minimum, is this not just a basic intelligence test? If I am supporting a group that is considered a terrorist nation in my host country, should probably keep my fucking mouth shut. Like, literal, just basic. Do you have basic intelligence? This is a test, and he failed.
I think that he's looking at this wrong. This is a great opportunity for him to get closer to the Palestinian conflict by getting back to the homeland. But there's a small problem for that. We're going to send him to Syria, which is now ran by Al-Qaeda, who've never been friends with Hamas. So Hezbollah, yes, but not Hamas. So I'm sure that'll go really well for him. I'm sure they'll welcome him with open arms and throw him right off of the first building they come to.
Yeah, I was going to say I look forward to updates in this story for sure. I'm excited to hear them. All right, Joe. Well, that is all the information you and I have prepared for today's briefing. That puts us at an hour and 5 minutes, which I believe is we'll just call it our most efficient show to date, shall we?
It's very efficient, very efficient. Yeah. Scott may be back on Friday to keep us back on track, but we shall see. Which is okay. So. I have places to go today that involve long road trips, so that works out good for me. But I will say this, buy some books, tell your friends to buy some books, and then buy some more books. Or register for a class, or buy a t-shirt. Keep your head on a swivel because the risk has not gone down. You might have gotten a little bit of breathing room from World War III, but the risk of domestic conflict actually goes up every day, every time Donald Trump opens his mouth and says something glorious or says something silly. Either way, The left is like, he could say, it's sunny today, and the left would tell us why the sun is bad and killing us all, and Donald Trump just wants us to die. It doesn't matter what the man says. They get angrier and angrier every day. And you need to understand what that means for your daily life. And be prepared. Get out there and do some things, right?
Facts. Well, chat, for my sign-off, I'm going to tell you that, hi, I've injured my back. I am stuck at my desk for at least the next 2 days. And as I slowly go insane, you will both see a lot more social media posting from me. And also potentially, I might be streaming some video games or that kind of stuff. So if you want to keep me company, because legitimately, even just to get up and go get water is like a multi-minute activity at this point. So yeah, if you want to keep me company while my back recovers, that'd be great. I'd appreciate the hell out of you. So keep an eye on my social media page for information about that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Joe.
Are you working on some video production for our good friend NC Scout?
He hasn't. So I will be. He's made the initial contact and said that he wants me to do it. Okay. And then I said, hey, you let me know when you got some time to meet, and we can talk about what you want done. And that's the stage that we're at. But yes, for those of you who watch,
I'll remind him today.
Yeah, for those of you who watch our good friend NC Scout's channel, he has reached out to me for an intro since they've decided to start including a video portion of their audio presentation.
So I see there are requests for some more Cami pics on her Instagram. I will pass that on. I take 1 million pictures. I'm not responsible for posting them, though, so I'll pass that on.
All right, everybody. Well, hey, we sure appreciate you. We'll see you again here on Friday. And in the meantime, stay safe.